Good Friday morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the Weather Channel. I'm Vivian Brown, along with Bruce Edwards. It is 5 o'clock Eastern Time. Glad you joined us. We wake up this morning much more quiet over the east today after seeing our storm system move away, moving out into the Atlantic, actually. Not too soon, though, because we had quite a bit of snow in parts of the Ohio Valley, Cincinnati. Total rainfall, snowfall totals, some 18 inches.
That's right. The southern part of the Buckeye State got hammered as opposed to the northern part where the snow belt lies up around the Cleveland area. So they had relatively unscathed, but down the Ohio Valley, they're still shoveling it out. And will be probably for the rest of the day today and tomorrow. Let's take a look at what we got going on elsewhere across the country. It's a Friday, and we check out the water vapor imagery, and as it cranks up and goes into motion, we can still see a trail of moisture from the Ohio Valley to the mid-Atlantic. And we had a little upper level system right in through here. That's what enhanced the snowfall yesterday. We're still seeing some snow from, and as you can see, as it rotates around the big upper trough, we're seeing some motion of this moisture heading westbound. So we're getting into St. Louis and back to the Ohio Valley. Still some snow here. There is some rain across Virginia, and even a few little spits and drizzle. There was some freezing rain and drizzle, southern Cape Cod, southern Massachusetts vicinity. Meanwhile, energy came out of Texas, brought the showers and snow yesterday. It's in the Gulf, starting to crank up, and it's producing some showers near the Gulf, but eventually it's going to be making for somewhat of a miserable day across Florida. But fortunately, we don't look like we should see the severe weather threat with this system as we saw with the last one into Florida, because the air over the peninsula so far is fairly dry. But we go out to the west, and we got one system, a real humdinger cranked up, and I'll show you a better satellite picture of that in just a few minutes. Here's the current situation across the country. You see the mess we have here, and then the departing system into the east. Now, there are still marine warnings out, gale warnings out from Watch Hill, Rhode Island to Eastport, Maine this morning. There are heavy surf advisories out from Ocracoke Inlet up to Fenwick Island, Delaware, through the Chesapeake Bay vicinity and the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And through the overnight hours, well, this has just expired now, the coastal flood warning, so that is indeed a little bit of good news. But still, the winds are a little feisty here, and they're blowing in a little moisture. And we had some freezing rain and drizzle southern New England. Now there's a little freezing drizzle around Bedford, Mass. So if you're one of the early starters hitting the highways first, watch out on bridges and overpasses for a little dicey weather there. Meanwhile, you get back into Virginia, West Virginia, and across the mountains into the Ohio Valley. And we're talking about mainly snow, a little bit of rain from time to time, but mainly we're talking about some snow. Now here's a look at the numbers for you, my friends. And well, Cincinnati, Ohio, all-time record storm total from this snowstorm through this morning. We're talking about 18.1 inches of snow in Cincinnati, a new record that shattered the old one by about 4 inches or so. In Louisville, Kentucky, 17.9 inches of snow from this system, and it is still coming down because you can see the band of precipitation. Not a lot of this here back up in Indiana and Illinois and Missouri. Not a whole lot. It's hitting the ground, a few flurries perhaps, but anything of any consequence running from Louisville towards Lexington and Cincinnati, back over to Parkersburg and Huntington and Charleston. A little light snow drifting on towards the west. Now, as you get back into Virginia, occasional showers here, but again, not a lot of this is reaching the ground at the present time. We've had a few reports of a little freezing drizzle here. So again, if you're in an early start into southern Massachusetts, exercise caution. Could be a little patchy ice on the roads. It's 25 in Boston right now. 34 in New York, 40 D.C., 33 up in Elkins, West Virginia, 1 below in Caribou, Maine, 28 in Pittsburgh. Detroit checks in with 26. Southbound, well, it's been cool across the deep south, cooler than normal. It's just above freezing in Atlanta now, 33. Dallas is at 34. New Orleans, 47. Tampa, 51. Miami at 57 right now. But we got the low in the Gulf starting to crank up here, and that's going to be sliding across Florida. So the peninsula, especially the southern part of the peninsula, is going to catch some wet weather here, and some thunderstorms and some locally heavy downpours, but it shouldn't be as nasty as far as severe weather is concerned as like the previous system that we saw that produced the tornadoes and the wind gusts. Here's the radar out of the Gulf, and you can already see some of the moisture beginning to lift here and wrapping around towards the Louisiana Delta. There's a lot more out here that the radar's not picking up, but it tells us that low is starting to crank up and it's sliding east, so be ready in Florida today. Meanwhile, in the heartland, besides that snow in the Ohio Valley, there's our typical fog with the ridge of high pressure across the Red River Valley on to the north. And we can see, as you get back to Missouri, some of those radar echoes just floating on to the west here. And again, we could see a few snowflakes out of this, but again, nothing of any great consequence to worry about. Here are the numbers. It's 27 now in the best location in the nation, Cleveland, Ohio, under clear skies. Other side of the state, Queen City of Cincinnati, still some snowflakes, 30 degrees right now, freezing Chicago, 12 in Minneapolis, 31 in Kansas City at present time. Now, as we head our way on towards the west, we find 29 in Denver, Colorado, 48 Phoenix, LA's at 55, San Francisco at 57. But you want to see a storm? We got a storm for you. Why don't you crank up? Look at this thing. Again, here's the coast of California. There's San Francisco. This thing is really cranking up here, and it's sort of the good news, bad news scenario. The bad news, of course, is a tremendous amount of wind, going to knock over a lot of trees, thus a lot of power lines will go down with the trees, and there'll be some power outages, so that's not such good news, of course. There'll be some heavy rain coming with the front, which is not good news at all, against some pretty good squalls. The only real good news is that this system, most of the energy with this low is going to be heading up to the north, and it should move through pretty quickly. But until it goes through, I'll tell you, it's going to really be howling. We can see some wet weather now from Portland down to Salem and Eugene and North Bend, and the winds are going to start to kick. Now we're starting to get some heavy rains moving towards San Francisco Bay and up towards Eureka and Ukiah, California along the coast, and they're continuing to head on towards the north-northeast, so some heavy squalls here. Southern California all right now, but we do see some radar echoes, and there'll be more wet weather moving in through here later on today as the tail end of that front swings on through. So there you have the big picture in one piece. Once again, we've got a big storm in the western states, still snow lingering here, and we're watching the developments over the Gulf of Mexico. Now this low will continue to crank, and we will slide across the Florida Peninsula. So going to the senior tour stop there in Naples, Florida, you were going to see some wet weather here today as they start their tournament. Meanwhile, the pros playing down in San Diego, La Jolla. Well, here comes the wet weather moving on in this afternoon, so there may be some slight delays in that action as well. Early this evening, once again, we're going to be talking about some significant rain in central and south Florida. Some light snow flurries and showers linger here, and a lot of wind and storminess in the west.
Look, show me a toothpaste that gives me fluoride and tartar protection, and then maybe I'll listen about getting whiter teeth.
Aquafresh Whitening gives you all the fluoride of Crest and reduces tartar buildup.
If Aquafresh does all that, then how well does it whiten?
Aquafresh's patented Tri-Clean formula gently breaks up stains to help get teeth their whitest. Not regular Colgate, not even Rembrandt can whiten better than Aquafresh Whitening.
You can't get better than that.
Aquafresh Whitening for healthy, whiter teeth.
My hat. Ooh, my coat. My books.
Some days you just don't have time for breakfast, but you need a healthy start. That's why Carnation Instant Breakfast is packed to go. It's full of vitamins and minerals and 99% fat-free.
Bye, Mom!
Got your breakfast?
Breakfast.
Carnation Instant Breakfast from Nestle. It's a healthy start.
Whether you're catching a flight or commuting to work, weather can affect your plans. Watch TravelWise mornings at 10 and 40 after the hour for potential trouble spots. Take the surprise out of your morning travel with TravelWise on the Weather Channel. Right now, your local forecast.
Valley's leading news program with Cecily Tynan, Rick Williams, and Monica Malpass.
Good morning. It is 5:30 on this Friday, February 6th. In the headlines on Action News this morning, the nor'easter leaves a tremendous mess behind. We will have the very latest from the Jersey and Delaware shores.
President Clinton is accused of coaching his secretary. What to say about Monica Lewinsky? We will have details. And a decision on bail could come today in the Tom Capano case.
Friday morning, end of a work week. Cecily Tynan is here with the latest from traffic and AccuWeather. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Finally, you can leave your umbrella at home today.
Oh, good.
The weather's looking a lot better. Sky 6 taking a look at the Ben Franklin Bridge, which is dry this morning. We could have a little bit of drizzle here and there, but for the most part, things are looking pretty good. Currently in Philadelphia, cloudy, 39 degrees, wind chill of 27, and AccuWeather says we'll see a mixture of clouds and sunshine. More sunshine to the north, more clouds to the south. Our afternoon high, though, not bad, 44, and we are looking for a much better weekend ahead than the past couple of days, and we'll tell you what to expect in the AccuWeather 5-day forecast.
All right, Cecily, we'll check in later. First in the news this morning, it will be a day of cleaning up along the New Jersey and Delaware shores today. High winds, heavy rain, and rising tides hammered the coast and left behind a very big mess. Entire communities woke up underwater. Police and National Guard rescuers came to the aid of dozens of people. This senior citizen became trapped in a house without heat and surrounded by water. The only ones happy with the conditions seem to be the ducks. And for the very latest, let's switch live on the action cam to Lisa Quintana in Ocean City. Good morning, Lisa. How's it looking right now?
Well, Rick, the mornings are getting better and better now that the storm is moving out. What I have behind me here is 9th Street, and as you can see, it is flooded. This is one of the roads that leads to the bridge here. So getting into and out of Ocean City is still very difficult. Right now, the 34th Street bridge is the only access to the mainland. Now we are in, the Back Bay is now in high tide, so some streets like Pleasure Avenue are still flooded. But we've been watching the tides closely during the past few days, and this is actually better than it was yesterday. The floodwaters can recede dramatically between tides, so many move their cars to higher ground. Others don't. The situation is improving. Like I said, believe it or not, the floodwater is receding, even though you can see there is still a lot of water on the roads here. It's better than yesterday. This time yesterday, Sea Isle City was closed off to the shore. Today, their roads are relatively clear, so they are open. The situation is a little different in Strathmere. There, yesterday, the nor'easter, the tides, pushed all the dunes onto the road. The sand is still blocking access into and out of that town. Reporting live on the action cam, I'm Lisa Quintana in Ocean City.
All right, thank you, Lisa. Well, Governor Christie Whitman will tour areas of New Jersey today to look at the damage, and this is what it looked like from the ground in Strathmere yesterday. The area was literally pounded by the force of the nor'easter. As of midnight last night, Cape May County was still in a limited state of emergency. The state of emergency in Atlantic County was lifted except in Brigantine, where the damage was more severe. And many places at the Jersey Shore are feeling the effects of yesterday's storm as well. This video was taken from a Coast Guard helicopter yesterday as officials began examining homes and businesses in Wildwood. And later, down on the ground, Cape May residents began assessing the damage done to their homes and businesses. Mayor Malcolm Fraser said the damage looked significant to him just on first look.
This is about the same kind of an intensity as the storm of March of '62. But the fact that we now have dunes, a good structure of dunes around the town, is keeping the water out.
It will probably take some time to figure out how much it'll cost to repair the tremendous damage caused by the recent storm.
And the Jersey Shore is not alone in misery. The nor'easter also ravaged the Delaware Shore. Action News reporter Matt O'Donnell surveyed the area, and here is what he found.
Take it all the way along the perimeter of the bend.
National Guardsmen were roping off the boardwalk at Rehoboth Beach last night. They didn't want anyone walking on it.
Wrap it around the tree.
So much of the boardwalk had been shredded apart, they were afraid it could give way and cause someone injury. The destructive force of the nor'easter was evident at the Boardwalk Plaza Hotel. Its entire deck, along with a gazebo and a hot tub, had crashed to the ground. Any support was lost when a huge chunk of the boardwalk along here sank into the sand. Next door, the Sands Hotel was missing part of a wall. It blew away. People who were out here to see the damage firsthand were humbled by this smack in the face by Mother Nature.
I think it just makes us all aware of how fragile everything is, and we just need to keep on our toes.
Earlier yesterday, it looked as if a wooden ship had been destroyed offshore. Splintered pieces of wood floated everywhere, remnants of stairwells that had once led to the beach. The waves were rough, slamming against cement walls. Further south at Dewey Beach, National Guardsmen had evacuated the entire town. The water was coming in fast, swallowing up roadways and people's yards. It was bad enough to warrant shutting down Route 1, the only way to get to Bethany Beach from this side of Rehoboth Bay. Later last night, Guardsmen remained on the watch, and a state of emergency along the Sussex County seaboard remained in effect. Now that the storm has passed and high tide has come in and gone out, folks here are starting to think about cleaning up. And they hope high tide, which was scheduled to come in at 2:15 this morning, doesn't set them back even further. Matt O'Donnell, Channel 6 Action News, Sussex County, Delaware.
The same nor'easter dumped heavy snow over parts of Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. More than a foot of snow has fallen on central and eastern Kentucky. They have closed schools and businesses, and thousands of people have lost power. And the plows are out in Cincinnati, clearing away a record 16-inch snowfall. And a tragic footnote to this massive East Coast storm. Officials say that the nor'easter claimed 15 lives. Fortunately, none of those deaths happened in our area.
All right, it's 5:36, and let's see how we're shaping up today, the day after the big storm.
Yeah.
Yes, and much better. Things are settling down. It's going to take a while for the flooding to get back to normal in back bays of the shore because we still have a flow out of the northeast. It's shifting very slowly out of the north, but the northeasterly flow will still bring some more water on shore, but it is weakening. Satellite 6 showing that that storm system is just swirling up and away. It's about 300 miles east right now of the Delmarva Peninsula, moving out, but we still have a little residual moisture. You can see a band of showers south of us. This is going to mean some parts of the Delaware Valley will see more clouds. If you live farther to the south, it's going to be a somewhat cloudy day. Farther to the north, pretty nice. Allentown should see a lot of sunshine today. We're going to be kind of on the fringe in Philadelphia, but certainly it will be dry today. The problem in Boston yesterday were the winds. That storm system was approaching, and here we go, Massachusetts, and they experienced the high surf and the flooding as well. All along the East Coast, they'll be assessing the damage from this nor'easter. It certainly was a very strong one. Here back at home, the call from AccuWeather. It is payback time. We need some nice days, and this weekend we'll be getting that. Yesterday's high 39, and today we should be topping off at about 44. Wilmington currently 39 degrees, Reading 34, Allentown 33, Trenton 35, Cape May 36 degrees, mostly cloudy right now in Cape May. Sky 6, or the action cam rather, is in Frankfurt. People waiting for the bus. A little bit chilly this morning. We have wind chills in the 20s. Presently 39 degrees in Philadelphia under cloudy skies. Humidity 44%. That'll be dropping as drier air moves in today. Barometer 29.78. It's rising. Winds are northerly at 10 miles an hour, and the wind chill is 27. In the northeast right now, 37, Camden and City Avenue 38. Center City and the airport, 39 degrees. The exclusive AccuWeather 5-day forecast, not a raindrop on the entire board. Very nice. Today, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. Our afternoon high, about 5 degrees above normal, up to 44. Then for tonight, partly cloudy. It's going to be chilly. Overnight low dropping to the mid-20s in the suburbs, about 30 Center City. Tomorrow, really nice day, partly sunny. We've taken out the possibility of any flurries or showers, and we've taken that out of the forecast because that storm system that we were watching is going to be well south of us, won't even get close. 44. Sunday, a little bit of wind activity as a backdoor cold front moves our way. Otherwise, pretty nice day, a mixture of clouds and sunshine. 42. Monday, mostly sunny, 44. Tuesday, sunny, and we begin a warming trend, mild. 48. It looks as if Wednesday we could actually top 50 degrees, so things are looking much better. Still, there will be some minor tidal flooding. The lower Delaware River also could have some flooding about 9:30 this morning at high tide.
All right.
All right,
Thank you, Cecily. And moving up on 5:40, still to come on Action News for this Friday morning. Up next, Monica Lewinsky walks into the lion's den as new charges emerge in the Clinton controversy.
And later, the international debate over Winnie the Pooh. Where do you think this bear belongs?
But first, outside we go as we take our first look at traffic. This is the North-South Freeway, looking live on Sky 6. No problems to report here in South Jersey, just a light volume as some early...
New Jersey and Delaware. Now live, this is News 10 Today.
And today we're waking up to new allegations in the White House sex scandal. The New York Times quotes sources who claim the president may have tried to influence the testimony of his secretary, Betty Curry.
Damage assessment begins at the Jersey Shore, some of it by boat and some of it by air.
And Tom Capano's bail hearing is scheduled to wrap up today in Wilmington, with a decision due on whether he'll be freed on bail. Good morning and welcome to News 10 Today. I'm Connie Cola.
I'm Steve Levy. 6 a.m., 6th day of February. Good Friday morning to you.
Welcome to it. Let's check your roadways this morning and get you off to work on this Friday.
To the traffic center, Mark Davies.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Connie. We're doing very well so far this morning. Most of us are. Folks at the short points are still recovering from the damage there. A lot of closures at the short points, but closer to home, we're doing fine. Let's look at the Schuylkill Expressway by the Blue Route. 76 at 476 looks great. Schuylkill's in fine shape. We have a local power outage in Montgomery County, Plymouth, White Marsh, and East Narton. A lot of defective traffic lights along that stretch of Germantown Pike. In the News 10 Metro Traffic Center, I'm Mark Davies for News 10. Now let's check your forecast. Here's Hurricane Shorts in the Weather Center. Good morning, Glenn.
Yes, good morning, Mark. And it is a calmer morning than what we've seen in a couple of days, but it is still pretty cloudy. The temperature right now, 39 at the airport. It feels like it's 26. And today we're just going into the lower 40s. A lot of clouds, less wind though, so it won't feel quite as chilly. And some sun, especially north of the city, some sprinkles south of the city. We'll be back with the 5-day forecast, and includes the weekend. That coming up in a few minutes. Connie?
All right, thanks, Hurricane. Topping our news on News 10 here this morning, new allegations in the White House sex scandal.
There's a report today in the New York Times, and it indicates that the president may have coached his personal secretary, Betty Curry, on what to tell the investigators about his relationship with Monica Lewinsky. The Times reports that Curry told the prosecutors that the president tried to get her to agree that he and Lewinsky were never alone, and that he resisted Lewinsky's sexual advances. The paper quotes lawyers familiar with the case. The Times says Curry ended up telling the prosecutors that Clinton and Lewinsky were alone together. The White House says the Times story is based on false leaks. Now, Monica Lewinsky is having a tough time here with the media mobbed by reporters and photographers while out to dinner last night in Santa Monica, California, her first night out since returning home. As you see, the crowd swarmed Lewinsky and her group as they tried to get from the restaurant to the car. Lewinsky's lawyer, William Ginsburg, issued a statement last night saying that the special prosecutor, Kenneth Starr, secretly granted Lewinsky full immunity, then reneged on the deal. Now, Ginsburg claims Starr's pressuring Lewinsky for information. A source close to Lewinsky told NBC News that Starr's office is trying to make it look like the president told her to lie. Starr says that's not true. There's no immunity deal with Lewinsky yet.
British Prime Minister Tony Blair gets a taste of Hollywood at a White House dinner in his honor. It was the biggest dinner the Clintons have ever thrown. Guests ran the gamut, from singer-songwriter Elton John to John Kennedy Jr. and his uncle, the senator. This is the Prime Minister's first visit to Washington since his election last May. Well, Blair has pledged British support in the Iraqi situation, and this morning there are strong signs of an impending military showdown with Saddam Hussein. The American and British military have sent 400 aircraft, more than 20 warships, and a third U.S. aircraft carrier to the Persian Gulf. 2,000 Marines will be added to the force today. President Clinton says any attack would not target Saddam. The U.S. wants the Iraqi leader to give full access to United weapons inspectors.
Well, we are waking up to a calmer morning. The storm is over. The cleanup will get underway today at the Jersey Shore.
Plenty of work to do today along the Jersey Shore. There's beach erosion and flood damage. News 10's Christine Perez is checking it all out. She's live in Atlantic City this morning. Good morning, Christine.
Good morning, Connie and Steve. Today is Damage Assessment Day. Governor Christie Whitman and other federal and state officials will be touring, surveying the damaged area by helicopter today. This is one of the worst storms to hit the Jersey Shore in 30 years, and a lot of shore communities are waking up today to see their beaches gone. Now, if I can show you some video here in Atlantic City, the sea waters literally tore a chunk of the boardwalk away near Massachusetts Avenue. Workers feverishly tried to repair it before yesterday afternoon's high tide, which, by the way, did not create more flooding in many of those communities. In West Wildwood, many residents were still digging out of 3 feet of water. Hundreds of homes have been affected in that area, and I have been told by emergency officials that FEMA will be touring that area sometime today. Now, in Ocean City, waters engulfed streets and homes. In fact, waters just tore chunks away of the beaches that had been replenished, money from the government, federal government going into the replenishment replenishment plans. Of course, a lot of beach erosion today, and of course, by daylight, we'll be able to get a better idea of the damage in that area. The good news is that the winds have subsided today here, and basically what folks will be doing today will be just cleaning up and trying to get an idea of the damage to their homes. I have been told that the damage to the beaches are more extensive than to the homes, that damage to homes are very limited, but of course we'll be surveying the area too, and we'll let you know what we find. Live in Atlantic City, Christine Perez, News 10.
It should sure be nice if the home damage was limited. Thank you, Christine.
Well, Christine talked about the beaches there in New Jersey. The beaches in Delaware also suffered some damage from the storm. It chewed up the beaches all along the Delaware coast. News 10 here in Lewis, Delaware yesterday. And some of the people who live down there say that this week's storm was one of the worst they've ever seen. And some of the low-lying areas are still flooded. The Delaware National Guard has been called out to help the people who are trapped by the flood waters. And this morning, the Delaware Governor, Tom Carper, has declared a state of emergency for Sussex County. All schools in Sussex County closed this morning. Now, in New Jersey, the schools in Ocean City, Sea Isle City, Stone Harbor, closed. Here are the schools that are open. All Atlantic County schools, Wildwood and North Wildwood schools, open today.
A decision could come today on whether it's
World War I, as you'll find out from Steve Keeley, for a lot of folks at the shore, unfortunately, because of the damage that it has caused. Now we are much calmer with 39 degrees. Winds have shifted from northeasterly to northerly, and they are at 10 miles an hour. Rising barometric pressure, winds out of the north at 10 miles an hour, and 45 degrees is 45%, I should say, is the relative humidity. Skies are cloudy right now, but the sun will start peeking out a little later on this morning, and then by lunchtime we should reach about 40 degrees. It should be 43 by drive time later on today, and that sunny trend will be continuing into the foreseeable future. We'll have a lot more on that coming up a little later on, but Andrea Laca is here with a Friday morning look at traffic. How are folks doing so far?
Doing just great. And Sue, in light of the compliment day, the jacket looks great on you.
Why, thank you. It is pay a compliment day. I'll have one for you next time.
Okay.
A really good one.
All right, we have just great conditions out there. Everything is very quiet still on all of the roadways. Let's go on over to the first one. Take a look at some traffic starting to build up now. This is I-95. And you will be tapping the brakes just from around Bridge Street down through Girard Avenue. That is pretty typical. Over to take a look at the Schuylkill Expressway right here around Belmont. Again, everything is, the normal volume out there, but without any reported delays or problems. In this area in Gladwin, Rose Glen is shut down between Maple Hill and Mill Creek. That's because of a downed tree, all related to the storm. In Gloucester County, a fire right now is causing a road closure. It's in the Paulsboro Township. Penn Line Road is closed between Buck and Adams Streets, and that is a 2-alarmer out there. And good news, the power is back in East Norriton, Plymouth, and White Marsh Townships. In the Fox Traffic Center, I'm Andrea Laca. Back to you now, Jennifer.
Thank you, Andrea. It is 6:31. Topping Fox News at this hour, there was the calm before the storm itself, and now the mess the nor'easter left behind. 2 days of pounding waves, rains, and high winds have eroded beaches up and down the Delaware and New Jersey coasts. Flooding was also a problem. Sky Fox shows it best. Counties closed numerous access roads linking the beach towns to the mainland. Many homes are in need of serious repairs, and that's what people down the shore are facing today, the big cleanup. Steve Keeley is live at Sea Isle City this morning with the latest on that. Steve.
Well, Jennifer, before Sea Isle City starts cleaning up its beach, it's going to have to replenish its beach. Last week, the mayor here told us they lost $3.5 million worth of sand. This week, they think that damage is even worse. Now they think they've lost a total of more than $10 million worth of beach sand. And as I said, they're going to have to clean up this beach, what's left of it, as soon as they can, because on this beach, even though you don't find much sand, and even though it's dark out right now, hopefully you can see those geotubes. They're normally buried under the sand. Now they're totally exposed, and they're credited with saving the beach houses here, which are also still totally exposed to any other storms that may come in the next couple of months. But as you can see, parts of road surfaces have been shattered, and they're now laying on the beaches, and whatever little boardwalks were made here from the beach homes to the beach, they're now shattered as well. But as bad as it is here in Sea Isle, it is even worse further south in Wildwood. This storm left houses at sea in Wildwood. Billboards that were on the side of the road are now billboards smashed in the middle of the water. Kids were able to take rafts right out their front door.
It was in the house, it was everywhere. There was water all over the place. I saw people's decks being ripped off. I saw things blowing down the street that I've never seen before.
In West Wildwood, people filled this evacuation center by midnight, and more were expected after that.
We're expecting more people. I would say we're going to get about maybe 20 to 30 more at least. They told me that West Wildwood's still not evacuated all the way. If the tide comes up the way they're expecting, I think we're going to be hit hard with people coming in, and we're ready for them.
Well, Wilder, we are told, still this morning is under a state of full emergency right now, and the National Guard was busy all night still getting people trapped from their homes, surrounded totally by water. So they'll have to wait for those waters to recede in a while, but before they can even start counting the damage there. Jennifer?
All right, Steve, thanks so much. While residents get out the buckets and shovels, New Jersey's Governor Christy Whitman will be touring the damage. The governor will be flying over Atlantic and Cape May counties at noon. This is video from Cape May Point during the height of the storm. You can see how the seawall is really taking a pounding. New Jersey State Emergency Management officials examined the storm damage yesterday. Humvees took them to several devastated communities. Delaware's beaches might have taken the worst of it in this storm. Rehoboth, Bethany, Dewey beaches were all hammered by the winds and surf. Jacqueline Bolden has that part of the story.
The surging seas washed over streets, sidewalks, and up underneath the boardwalk. When daylight came, the damage was easily visible. The boardwalk was battered. The hotel lost a chunk of its wall, and neighborhoods near the ocean and the bay were badly flooded.
My first reaction was, ooh, I wonder if we should have evacuated, because I always thought, we've always been able to get out this way, and this was flooded right here at the intersection, but it didn't go any farther.
The National Guard was brought in to help with evacuations and to keep people out of areas which weren't safe, while plows cleared streets of sand and debris. Waves offshore measured 25 feet high, the biggest waves this area has seen in 14 years. Sections of the boardwalk collapsed under the pressure.
Well, the boardwalk was designed that the decking would come loose before the structure beneath it. So hopefully that's what happened, and we'll get out there and put the decking back down, and we'll be in pretty good shape. But clearly all the access points to the boardwalk, at least from here north, have been severely damaged and are going to take quite a while to repair. So.
Once again, the ocean surged to take back what it wanted. And the people who live so close to it could only watch and hope for the best. In Rehoboth Beach, Jacqueline Bolden, Fox News.
The Jersey Shore isn't the only part of the country feeling the brunt of Mother Nature. In Northern California, fierce storms killed 4 people, including a man found floating in a swollen creek. Residents in Modesto are relying on sandbags for protection from the rising waters, and some residents are actually wrapping their homes in plastic. 2 more storms are expected to hit the area today. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, an amazing rescue caught on tape. Emergency officials saved 2 teenage girls from a raging flood control channel. This morning, there are new allegations against President Clinton in the White House scandal. The New York Times is reporting that President Clinton's secretary, Betty Curry, has told prosecutors that the president told her to say he was never alone with Monica Lewinsky. Curry also reportedly was coached to say that he always resisted Lewinsky's sexual advances. If the Times report is accurate, President Clinton would be guilty of attempting a cover-up. Meanwhile, Monica Lewinsky's attorney, William Ginsburg, says he has a letter from prosecutors confirming a deal to grant her immunity. But he also accuses them of trying to pressure Lewinsky into making statements that are just not true. British Prime Minister Tony Blair received a warm greeting from President Clinton as he arrived at the White House yesterday. Mr. Blair is considered a staunch ally who shares the president's foreign policy concerns. He has pledged support for a military strike against Iraq if Saddam Hussein does not comply with UN weapons inspections. Last night, President Clinton hosted a hot-ticket White House dinner and dance for Blair and his wife Sherry. Entertainers Stevie Wonder and Elton John rocked the White House, evidence of the baby boomer friendship between Mr. Blair and the president. Back here, closing arguments could come today in the bail hearing for accused killer Tom Capano. Yesterday saw some gripping testimony about Capano's relationship with Anne Marie Fahey. Rich Maneri was in the Wilmington courtroom.
We can see what prosecutors have against Tom Capano. Blood spots on the baseboards of his house. The pictures were released today. The cooler he and his brother allegedly used to dispose of the body. But the defense prefers to focus on what prosecutors don't have.
Oh, the ring.
Capano attorney Joe Hurley called Wilmington Police Detective Robert Donovan to the stand. Donovan mentioned a turquoise ring missing from Anne Marie Fahey's apartment.
I don't think they're going to be able to connect Tom Capano having any interest in that turquoise ring. So
the ring was given to Anne Marie by a former boyfriend. Hurley wouldn't take the next step and call that boyfriend a suspect.
I'm just saying it's a curiosity that deserves some consideration.
Tom Capano was charged with murdering his former girlfriend Anne Marie Fahey in June of 1996. Investigators believe Capano and his brother dumped the body into the Atlantic Ocean. The defense has called 17 witnesses, most for one of three specific purposes: to refute the prosecution's timeline for the murder, to reduce the mountain of circumstantial evidence, and to show that the relationship between Tom Capano and Anne-Marie Fahey was kind and nurturing, even on the day before she disappeared. In court, Hurley read an email exchange between the two on June 26, 1996. Anne-Marie Fahey was battling anorexia at the time. Fahey: "Hey, Tommy, I'd like to apologize for being such a downer. Some days I feel I can handle my anorexia, some days I don't." Capano's response: "I appreciate your apology. I just hope you know all I want to do is help you in any way I can." Capano's attorneys will argue tomorrow that their client should be released on bail. Prosecutors will insist that the perceived stains of guilt should be enough to keep him locked up. In Wilmington, Rich Maneri, Fox News.
She dedicated 5 decades of her life to teaching others, especially Philadelphia's inner city youth. Yesterday, friends and family said goodbye to education pioneer Ruth Wright Hare. Hundreds turned out to pay last respects to Hare at the Pisgah AME Church yesterday morning. Hare was the city's first black high school teacher and school board